We've put on a lot of miles on this episode, everybody, and what fun it's been to hear from folks in Iowa and Pennsylvania and hear how they are promoting beef and getting into schools and telling kids about the pastured plate story and where their food comes from. Before I introduce our next guest, I would be remiss not to mention one honorable mention in this whole thing, because if you've been following my social media, you've probably noticed I've just been sharing all these kids that are in these classrooms, from the South Dakota Junior Beef Ambassadors to people kind of just all over the country that are taking the books into schools for Egg Literacy Month and beyond. And one of those special gals is Emma Whitaker out of Illinois. She's from the Hancock County Cattlemen's Group, and they purchased, I think, about 300 books, and she has been committed just herself to get into classrooms and teach kids about the cattle industry. So thank you, Emma, for all your hard work. And with that, I'll introduce our final guest for the day, and that's Kathy Tokach of Tokach Angus Ranch in St. Anthony, North Dakota. Kathy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Amanda.
We go way back. So we were talking before the episode. Kathy, I guess just to start, tell us a little bit about yourself and your family's operation, and then maybe we can reminisce about, when we connected all those years ago.
Okay. Well, as you had said, I'm on Tokach Angus Ranch, a purebred Black Angus ranch. 3 generations are on the ranch right now. My husband, our son, and his family, and his boys. He has 3 sons, and so it's kind of a fun operation. We have an annual production sale in February. We're finishing up with calving and getting ready to AI. So definitely busy season.
And you just came off the road of delivering bulls as well to customers, correct?
Yeah, actually, we were in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and got home at 1:30 this morning.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
but
There's no
that's the way it
rest for the
goes.
cowgirl, is there?
No, it's not. But, we thrive on that life, so that's
Yeah,
okay.
we do too. I think I'll stop saying it, but I always say, like, oh, after calving season, things are going to slow down. And like, nope, then we're breeding, and then we're fixing fence, and then we're baling hay, and on it goes. But it's a good, honest life, and it keeps you humble and connected to the land. And I don't know about you, but there's really nothing else I'd rather do than run cattle.
Yeah, definitely, and especially when there's family involved like that, and watching the grandsons, how excited they are to be part of it. That I think is a neat picture, and now that I'm home full time, my first career was as a registered nurse, and so now the last 10 years I've been home full time, and I'm really appreciative of that, to be around those grandkids when they're learning and appreciating the industry.
Yeah. It's what it's all about. And your passion for the beef cattle industry extends beyond the ranch. You've always been active as a promoter. And we met many years ago. Your group was starting a 5K beef run. And then shortly after that, you started buying some of my books. I think Levi's Lost Calf probably was the first one out of the gate. And you put on a lot of miles promoting beef in schools. So tell us maybe a little bit about what you do, who you're affiliated with, and how you guys have used these books, I guess, in the classroom here over the years.
Well, I guess, part of it started with the beef run. That allowed us to have some funding to purchase these books. So not only was the beef run a good promotion of beef as a recovery meal, but also it gave us the opportunity to have funds to purchase these books. So then we kind of started with getting them into the libraries, school libraries, city libraries. And we've got them, and I probably should have a map of where we do all have them, but we do have them in many towns across the state. In fact, a couple of years, I even convinced my husband Richard, when we were delivering cattle, that we could swing by and stop at a library and drop off some books.
Uh,
And then when time allows, we also do go into the classrooms. Actually, there is now 4 of us in our district that are kind of dedicating some times to getting into the classrooms. And actually, it started, I suppose, about 6 years ago. Kay Nelson, a North Dakota cattlewoman, was the one that really pushed me, encouraged me, and had links to schools, teachers, to get into the classrooms. So it really makes a difference if you know a teacher or have a student in that classroom to be able to go in those classrooms and share the story.
well, and COVID was kind of challenging because all of a sudden we couldn't go into the classrooms, but it reaffirmed for me why the books were so important, because at least we could get books about agriculture into libraries so kids could check them out. But there's nothing quite like being there in person. So I know, I guess maybe just tell people just so they can understand the scope of how many classrooms you guys have been in just this year and the miles you've put on yourself.
Well, I know and in fact, I was kind of just going through the numbers because that is a goal that cattle women do want us to be aware of how much time we are spending and the miles we are putting on. And actually, so far, we have, between the four of us, been in 11 classrooms in the Bismarck Mandan area, actually in the classroom sharing the stories. And so those schools got their set of books. And then I've also traveled to like 17 other schools and libraries, from Bismarck, Mandan, all the way over to Medina, down to Wishick, and back up again, that circle. I guess, to be honest with you, I haven't put all those miles together.
You probably don't
But
want to add them up. Like, oh my, do I even? I'm never home.
right. Well, and and I try to incorporate them, so that I'm kind of accomplishing two things, with it type of thing. Which sometimes when you're creative thinking, and I guess a ranch wife, you got to be,
Yep.
you got to make use of your time. So I have kind of been creative with that. But yeah, it's just so important. And then just visiting with the librarians, the educators, and sometimes the principals. They see the books and they go, "Wow, thanks," and because they are so colorful and they do tell the real ranch story. That's what is so important, I think, is for those students to understand the real ranch story. And the thing with this book project is that the kids check out the book, they take it home, and a lot of times it's not just the student that gets the advantage of the book; it's the whole family.
Mhm.
The parents can see it. Depending on the age of the child, they may need to help them read it. But that's why, to me, I think these books, whatever library they check them out from, whether it's a school or a city or a town library or the bookmobile, we impact more than one person. We usually impact the whole family or the whole classroom. Some of the teachers that utilize them in the classroom. So that's why I think it's so important, is because it gets to so many people, and we all know there's a lot of kids. In fact, the classroom I was in the other day, only 5 of the 24 actually lived on a farm or a ranch. So the other 19, they did have, maybe a third of them had connections. But when you tell this story, when they read these books, these real pictures, these, real life things, it gives them a better understanding.
Absolutely. And before we started recording, you were telling me about C is for Care and how that one's kind of been resonating. Tell us a little bit about how you put your personal spin on the story. I think that's great.
Yeah, and actually, this was a second grade classroom, and so I kinda started out, I said, "Well, I know you know your ABCs, but this kinda tells us the story of, ranch life and what we do." So we kinda went through each page, and the thing is, it's a great book that you can personalize how your ranch deals with things. I brought in stories about my grandson who was in that class, the jobs that he helped with. And in fact, the teacher told me after the presentation, she goes, one of the kids came up to her and said, "I didn't know Bentley worked that hard." They didn't realize what goes into, the life. Like one of the pages, it talks about, going out working with the cattle when it's cold and snowy. So I asked the kids, "What did you do last year with our winter when we had, no school days?" "Oh, well." And then I said, "You know what Bentley did? He came over and he helped shovel snow." So it made them understand, what we do and the requirements.
Right. Oh, I love it so much. So tell me a little bit, just briefly, about kind of the collaboration. You've got many entities involved. You've got the North Dakota Cattle Women, you've got the District 5 Cattle Women, and then you have the North Dakota Beef Commission that's also doing some egg literacy, egg education in school initiatives.
Yes, actually, it's really exciting. This is the second year they're doing the Junior Beef Readers Program, and that's where the kids, you go online, you register for the program, you get a T-shirt and a book bag, and then they're asking them to log for 1 month the books that they read. They're encouraging them that at least 3 of those books be a beef book.
Okay.
So we're encouraging reading, we're encouraging beef books, and then there's going to be a drawing at the end. For several of those kids that registered will be winning their own beef books. And just the other day when I checked in with them, they had over 370 kids signed up.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a big wow. A great, beef, May is beef month. So that's why we're, targeting on May to do that project. So,
Oh, that's incredible. 370 is a
yeah.
lot of kids. Kinda statewide then?
Right, right. Yep, yep. They were hoping for 200, and it
Oh, wow.
just actually, I had when I visited one of the school and dropped off the books, I, talked about it and promoted it. That school sent in K through 6th grade, all their
Wow.
students.
Oh, that's
So,
so
yeah,
exciting.
the
Yeah.
books are important. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just, like, immensely grateful for all the support over the years and that these books are it's humbling just that they can be a resource for other people, and, I'm so busy speaking and then the 4 kids and then the ranching too, and I get all these school requests, and there's just, like, no way possible to do it all, so it makes me feel better knowing, like, other people are helping in the mission and getting out there and that they can be used over and over again. So tell me, I guess, what motivates you to do all this effort? I mean, you're plenty busy at home on the ranch, and you got a lot going on, and it's a busy time of year. What motivates you?
I guess, my, desire to keep the industry going, I'm part of it and for my grandkids. And actually, I guess, one of my key, mentors was Kay Nelson in the education side of it. She very strongly encouraged me to do this. But also about, 10 years ago, maybe, at one of our Egg Day events here in Mandan, North Dakota, we talked about, hamburgers and where does the hamburger come from? And I was told it came from McDonald's, and I was told it came from turkeys. And it's like, oh, this is Mandan, North Dakota. They don't know about beef, and the importance of beef. So I guess that is where I really realized, no, I need to spend some time in the classrooms, in the schools, and getting these books out there because they tell the great story.
Oh, that's wonderful. You've probably seen a lot of ups and downs in the cattle business over the years, but I guess is there one piece of advice you would have for maybe a young producer that's looking at this industry and seeing the immense challenges that exist, but also the opportunities? Like you have a lifetime of work in this industry we both love. Like any good advice to share?
It's a tough road. It is, like you said, the ups and downs, but you gotta hang with it. It's not something that because you had a bad year, you say, "Okay, let's quit." Anything in life that you really enjoy and love, it's gonna take some dedication and some work. And I guess, we kind of are seeing, at least this year for us, we've seen some younger ranchers again, actually, through our cattle sale and stuff. And so that's really exciting for us, to see some of these new people, younger kids again, or I shouldn't call them kids. My son's not a kid anymore. um,
I
but,
think that's
these,
our industry. Like you're still a kid, even if you're 50 years old. If your dad at 70 is still ranching like that, you're the kid. So it's just how
right.
it goes.
Yeah. It's just, it's something you really do have to have a strong desire to do because, like you said, it's last winter we all said was, it was terrible, but this we got through it and we came back this winter, and we did have a nice winter overall.
Yeah.
So, you just go with the flow and you go with Mother Nature, and you accept those challenges. And sometimes you take a few more prayers than other days, but that's
Yeah.
just the way life is.
I know. I think we prayed too hard for the snow to go away because it was kind of an open and dry winter. Are you guys pretty dry where you're at?
Well, actually, it's raining today, so we're kind of muddy again.
Yeah, we're
Um,
raining here too, but we needed it for sure. We'll take it.
yeah.
Kathy, this time together went too fast, but I guess to close, can you tell us where can folks learn more about your ranch? When you guys host the bull sale, things like that.
I guess we do have a website, Tokach Angus Ranch, and then we do also have a Facebook page. I'll be honest with you, this last month I've kind of slacked off at the ranch one because I've been working on the cattle women one. Um, and then we also do a constant contact letter that kind of goes out if people want to sign up for that. Yeah, our website's probably the place you can get a hold of us.
Wonderful. Well, this has been such a joy and a pleasure, and I genuinely hope we get to see each other on the Dusty Trail very soon. It's been far too long. Although I don't know, have we ever met in real life, or has it just been social media? Now I'm not sure.
In Bowman, Cattle Women's, you were at the
There we
Cattle Women's state
Yep.
meeting in Bowman.
That's right. That's right. That
Yep.
was a great event. Wonderful. Well, it's been too long, and I hope our paths cross very soon. And thank you so much for all you do to promote beef cattle across the state of North Dakota.
Well, thank you for the books, and please continue with them because we kind of always need new ones.
I'll get to work on it. So with that,
In your spare time.
yeah, with all my spare time. No, there's always that's what I always say. I'll probably be writing books till I'm 80 because there's
Good.
no shortage of good stories about agriculture that
Yep.
the world needs to hear. So I appreciate the encouragement. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this fast-paced episode of The Heart of Rural America, where we went through 4 guests in a record-setting pace to cover a lot of ground, and hopefully it inspired you to get out and do your part and use your time, talents, and treasures to go tell the beef cattle story and the agriculture story to kids. It's a great way to connect in your community in a feel good way that you really can't go wrong. So with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week, Wednesday, on the Heart of Rural America.